Hello, fellow romantics. It took me a long while, but I am back. It took me longer than I expected because of some things out of my control that really disrupted my recovery. But here, let's focus on the future. I do not want to give up on this podcast, and I feel ready to start releasing episodes again every 2 weeks. This podcast is still here because of the generous people who are still here with me and whom I couldn't be more grateful for. These are the fellow romantics that keep the show going for everyone with their support. You're listening to this free feed because of them. So thank you to every single one of you. Thank you, fellow romantics. Thank you. Your support now more than ever means the world to me. Since it's been such a long time, I thought the best way to relaunch this story is with a binge session of part 1 to 7. After that, you can go straight to part 8 on this free feed, and if you are a free member on Patreon, you will also have access to part 9. I hope you enjoy the story. Let's go. A small city completely changed in the course of a few days. We simply have never seen anything like this. It's the stuff we see in the movies. A wake-up call for all of us. It's the story we all cannot stop talking about. I don't think I saw any of it coming that week. I only remember being relieved to be back at work. 2 weeks of vacation in France with Audrey had been more than enough to make me feel antsy. Back already? Brittany asked after I'd walked in. I must have grinned because she immediately added, "You're weird, Katie." "I know," I said, leaning on the reception counter. "But you love me anyway." "I do." Brittany nodded. "But it's not normal to be this relieved to be back at work after a trip to France. I worry about you." She arched an eyebrow and crossed her arms. "You shouldn't," I replied, "because I am happy with the way things are and I love my job. What's wrong with loving your job?" "Nothing," Brittany agreed. "I love my job, but I love my life too." "Why are the two separated?" I teased back. I fished my reading glasses out of my pocket and put them on the tip of my nose. "That doesn't sound healthy either." Brittany laughed. "I forget you're the therapist." "That I am," I said with my most charming smile. "Anything happen while I was gone?" "Absolutely nothing," Brittany replied, resting her hands on the office chair. "No new patients. You know nothing happens here, except for that sink clogging up again. That's what I like about this place. Nothing unexpected ever happens," I said, and then immediately looked around to make sure no one had overheard me. I didn't want to be insensitive toward the families. I know," Brittany said, sighing. She plopped down on the chair and rolled it forward until she was positioned behind the desk. "Avoid the bathroom at the end of the hall. Just use the one by your office. The janitor hasn't fixed that sink yet." I walked into my office shortly after that. There was a small pile of mail waiting for me on my desk, but I ignored it. Working with patients in a long-term coma meant there was rarely anything urgent in the mail. That day, I must have started my round at 9 a.m., I always do. I like things being the same every day. As a therapist, I guess I would diagnose myself with having control issues. At around 9:05, I walked into the first patient's room. This is Gregory. He's 50 and had a serious accident 4 years ago. For a few months, his family had been hoping he would wake up, but they stopped doing that a while ago. I usually sit by Gregory's side for about 30 minutes. His wife, Annie, visits before she starts her day, and I make sure I talk to her for a bit before moving on to the next patient. That morning, Annie was a little upset. "My oldest daughter dropped out of college," she sighed as she threw her jacket over the chair. "Oh," I replied, careful not to approve or disapprove of her daughter's decision. "I don't know how I can keep these two on the right path without him," she nodded in Gregory's direction. I listened for a bit longer than usual, keeping all advice to myself. I can't be a real therapist to these people, unfortunately. I can only make their hours in this place less lonely. It's actually pretty surprising this job even exists. The only reason there's money to pay me is because of the generous support of a wealthy woman whose adult son is hospitalized here. She spent many hours by her son's bedside alone and found it to be grueling. So she decided to throw money at the problem. She told my boss to hire someone to sit with her son instead. My boss is a smart woman. She accepted the money, hired me, and told me to sit with every patient in this building, but more importantly, with their families. Anyway, I won't bore you with my entire schedule. Let's just say I always used to go from patient to patient in a carefully crafted plan that allowed me to, and I'm using air quotes here, bump into visitors. My days were spent in quiet conversation and long hours of silence. Very little happened. That's what made it my dream job. I got to be there for people while also hiding from the world. I felt happy and safe that day. I remember that. I was content to be back where I belonged. But that wouldn't last for long, of course. Welcome to Freedom Crusaders, your trusted channel delivering the latest on the fight for freedom. We all know it's time to take back control in this country. On this channel, we explore where to go to battle first. Freedom Crusaders! Welcome to my weekly vlog where I share updates on things that catch my interest, spark my frustration, or simply piss me off. How do I look, by the way? Do you like my new haircut? My roommate hates it, but I think it's pretty cool, and she's insufferable anyway. Before I get started with some news that you will want to hear, a word about our channel sponsor this month, Forever Brilliant. Forever Brilliant brings you the supplements that you need to stay as brilliant as you are right now, forever. That's right, you're not going to be this fit, this sexy, or this smart as you age. Now is the time to invest to keep your brilliance for many years to come. I take Forever Brilliant every morning. I like to add a scoop to my morning coffee, but they offer Forever Brilliant as a sweet and cute gummy bear too. I haven't tried those, but I certainly plan to. I'm serious. Don't think you're gonna stay fit and strong by getting your protein and working out. That is not enough. That is bullshit. You have to do more, okay? So get your first order in today and make sure you can keep fighting or fight. Exclusively on this channel, you can now get Forever Brilliant with a 30% discount using the code Crusader at checkout. Link is in the description below. Get Forever Brilliant today and become an even more powerful Crusader. All right, Freedom Crusader, let's take a look at what's been all over the internet this week. I got some things to say about the mainstream media too, of course, but let's start with the good, more reliable stuff first. Remember that teacher who got fired because she wanted to teach every student how to use a gun after school? Well, I have some great news. Not only did she get reinstated after taking it to court, she also quit her job because she got offered a better job elsewhere. She is going to make more money and teach these kids how to defend themselves, and she gets to do it at a private school closer to her residence. That is what I call an epic epic win for a fellow crusader. Her GoFundMe is still up, and you can help her pay for those expensive lawyers she had to hire to defend her freedom. But we all know this is actually a shared fight for our freedom, so pitch in. We cannot put up with this shit. We need to fight back. We need to disrupt everything the establishment wants to impose on us. Next up, an exclusive update from the guy who got charged with animal cruelty for selling natural, grass-fed beef from cows he raised in his backyard. But first, Freedom Crusaders, I want to share with you an exciting update about my own battle to bring the latest news to you. You can now join me in the fight to share real, important news to Crusaders across the country. If you want me to bring you more news from the trenches, become a member of this channel today. Choose your freedom plan through the link below. My goal is to quit my lousy job for my lousy boss who is rich and woke as fuck and work for you, the people, instead. So expect more updates, more in-depth coverage, and more research. And I will share all of this exclusively with you. I'm actually about to release a 50-minute documentary with some pretty explosive revelations on chemtrails in the South. So now is the time to sign up, people. Okay, imagine getting arrested for providing good, honest food to your community. That is what happened to... Why did you send me this? This kid is crazy. She mentioned the center. I thought you'd want to know. Did she? I must have missed it. Did you even watch, Catherine? I did. Just on a low volume because I'm still sitting with Usha. Usha again. What is that supposed to mean? You know what I mean. She has no one else. They still haven't found her family. I know, but you can't fill up that space. I can. Narcissist much. You're not qualified to make that diagnosis. Tongue sticking out emoji. And I know I'm only making a small difference, but it's something. I thought you weren't supposed to get emotionally attached to these people. Come on, be kind. We just got back from our vacation. I was there with you for 2 weeks. You were, kind of. I don't want to get into a fight. Me neither. There's no point. I'll be home soon enough. All right. I'm going out for a run, but I'll see you afterward. Have a great run. 2 weeks of vacation dinners? Yeah, I swear I could tell the difference when I put on my shorts. I doubt you did. Wait. What? Nothing. For a second, I thought Usha moved her foot. Laughing emoji. Wishful thinking, unless she's about to wake up. Not funny at all. Doctor said she'll be here forever. Go run. Okay, talk to you soon, but watch that video. Something tells me it's important. Maybe pass it on to Maya. Sure, I'll watch it again. You know I won't, right? Love you. The day after returning to work, I woke up feeling slightly disoriented. It was a Saturday, and it was weird to start the weekend after just one day at the center. I know I considered staying in bed, maybe trying to read a book, but I could hear Audrey moving around our old house, and I suddenly missed being around her. Even then, I knew I shouldn't give in to that kind of sentiment, but I couldn't help it. I quickly grabbed a shirt and some shorts and left my room, pulling my hair back in a quick ponytail. "Hey, stranger," Audrey said, a little annoyed when I walked into our kitchen. "You were gone by the time I came home." I shrugged apologetically. I was pleased to see Audrey had already made coffee. Of course she had. She always did. "I came back from my run and you weren't home yet," Audrey replied, leaning against the wooden counter. She looked sad, but not as sad as she used to look. "I figured you weren't home anyway, so I stayed a bit longer," I admitted, "but I must have stayed too long." "Yeah," Audrey nodded. "You stayed with her again?" Pouring a cup of coffee for myself, I ignored the question and blurted out, "Do you want to go to the movies today? We can still grab the lunch deal." Audrey's eyebrows shot up then. I used to love it when she did that. It made me grin. But a few years later, the raised eyebrows usually announced disappointment in me. "Sure," Audrey said, much to my surprise. "Why not?" I grinned, relieved. When I couldn't go to work, I liked to distract myself. A movie was one of the easiest ways to do that. Plus, I loved treating myself to some popcorn. "But no popcorn," Audrey said, pushing off of the counter. "Oh, come on," I said, taking my seat on one of our creaky chairs. "That's half of the fun." Audrey sighed. "Okay, but I want my own." I sipped my coffee. "Why?" The eyebrows again. "Seriously?" I asked. You can't keep pretending," Audrey said with a heavy sigh. "It's just popcorn," I replied. "We both know it's not just popcorn, Catherine," Audrey sighed again. "Stop sighing," I said, and felt like a whiny teenager for saying it. I course-corrected and leaned back in my chair. "You don't have to be that annoyed with me." "I'm not annoyed," Audrey replied, even though I knew she was. I always knew. I thought we agreed this was for the better. I remember nodding reluctantly. "Sure, yeah," I said, and I really meant it. We just had a difference of opinion on how to implement our decision. "We broke up 4 months ago," Audrey continued, "and almost nothing between us has changed. You can see that, right? We sleep in different rooms," I pointed out. "That's a big change." "Really?" Audrey asked tiredly. "We said we still wanted to be friends," I replied. "And we are. What's wrong with being best friends?" Audrey crossed her arms. "Tell me one other thing that has changed." "What?" I chuckled uncomfortably. "Plenty of things changed. We do our own thing all the time. I just go run more often, and you're at work even more," Audrey stated. "You went out last night," I protested. "That was with friends, right?" "Stop trying to be right," Audrey said a little louder. I winced. I hate it when anyone, raises their voice. I also know how hard it must have been for Audrey. I know that now. "Look," Audrey added, sitting down at the table across from me. "You know we can't keep going like this, right?" I frowned. "Why not? Why do things have to change?" "Because we're no longer a couple," Audrey said, reaching for my hand. "And you're pretending that we are." "I'm not," I said defensively, pulling my hand back. "I'm fine with our breakup if that's what you're thinking." "Are you?" "Yes, I really am," I said, now raising my voice too. I quickly covered my mouth. "I'm sorry." "It's fine," Audrey smiled. "But Kate, everything changed. We changed. And we're going to change even more. What if one of us meets someone new?" I didn't want to respond. I didn't even want to think about this. I didn't want to talk about it. I just wanted things to be exactly how they were. I knew we had been friends rather than lovers for years now, but I still loved our life together. I thought we were good for each other as friends too. We didn't need the romance part. My trip is in a few weeks, Audrey said softly. Maybe after that, we should talk about one of us moving out. Just for a while, and then we can see what we do next. I'm not proud of what I did next. I can admit that now. I covered my ears, got up, and walked out of the room. As a therapist, I'd have a few things to say to a client who did that, but it was the only thing I could think of in that moment. I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for the change that life wanted from me, and I was extremely unprepared for what was about to happen. Freedom Crusaders. I'm late uploading this video, but I have good reason to be late. See this awesome outfit here? White without a back is the new black and all that. They won't let me wear anything else here. Don't worry, I'll be fine and we'll be back home soon enough. Turns out I just need to flush some stuff out of my system after I took an extra dose of something I believe is actually helping me grow strong. The doctors disagree because I collapsed at work. I'm not sure if I got the dose wrong or if I combined it with the wrong food and had some sort of cross-reaction, but I'm sure I'll figure it all out once I'm back at my place. The docs also say I should never take this supplement again, but I don't trust them. Plus, the company assured me the dosages are fine and that this was a one-time reaction. Anyway, I asked my roommate to drop off some extra cables and lights so I can continue to post videos from here, but she has classes and refuses to skip one to help me out. I guess I'll just have to make sure I can get out of here ASAP. Luckily, someone down the hall has a phone charger and I can post with my phone and keep you guys informed. My boss is probably going to fire me over this. A few of you became a member after my last video, so I'm not panicking yet. Even though I will lose my insurance if I get fired. But I know you guys will have my back, right? I got lots and lots of messages over my reporting on the so-called coma center in Windfall. One of you sent me some new information that I really want to investigate as soon as I get out of here. That means now is the time to become a member of my channel, Freedom Crusaders. With your help, I can investigate what is going on with these experiments on human beings in Windfall. You know what to do to help me get out of here so I can go to Windfall and find out the truth. Click the link below. Audrey has always been a very forgiving person. She knew I was struggling, and she wasn't upset that I walked out on her. Maybe she should have been. A few hours later, we went to the movies like nothing happened, and I was happy to get out of the house together. Sometimes you only start appreciating someone when you can no longer take them for granted. I got popcorn, of course. Audrey didn't get her own popcorn, but still had a bit of mine. That was good enough for me. I don't even remember what the movie was about, to be honest. I think it happened just as the movie ended. Yeah, I think the text arrived after the movie. I got up and brushed some popcorn off of my sweater and, mostly out of habit, checked my phone. My coworkers know I'll come into work whenever I can, and they actually try to keep me away because they know I go a little overboard. They're sweet and protective like that. So, I was surprised to see a text from Sonia, our physical therapist. She's as committed to her job as I am, but she had never texted me on the weekend before. "What's wrong?" Audrey asked. "Nothing," I said, quickly putting my phone away after reading the message. I knew my voice gave me away, so I asked, "You want to grab a late lunch at Winds of Change?" Audrey tilted her head, clearly debating how to respond. "Come on," I insisted. "We gotta eat something. My treat." Oh, Audrey asked, surprised. How does that work? We ran out of money on the joint account. I shrugged. I finally asked Brittany to change the account for my paycheck. Really? Audrey said in surprise again, hands resting on her hips. Yes, I said, but didn't tell her that I lied about the reason when I asked Brittany to change the account. I couldn't bring myself to share the news about my separation from Audrey. Yes, we are officially broke, I continued, putting the "we" in air quotes. But I can buy you lunch from my paycheck. Chuckling, Audrey nodded. Okay, I guess we do need to celebrate that step. Maybe things are changing after all. I chuckled uncomfortably. I had been eager not to talk or think about the text from Sonia, but had somehow gotten myself into an even more undesirable situation because of it. So I did what I sometimes do. I blurted out what I had been trying to hide in the first place. Sonia sent me a text about Usha. Audrey's face immediately hardened. Come on, I said with a bit of despair. I don't want to bring my work with me here. I just got a strange text and I want to tell you about it. Slowly, Audrey shrugged. Why do you always get like this whenever we talk about Usha? I asked. Always get like what? Audrey asked, but I knew she knew exactly what I meant. Ever since Usha got admitted at our center, we've been fighting about her, I said, shaking my head. I mean, we broke up even before she arrived. A man cleared his throat behind us. We were still standing in the middle of the theater and were blocking his way. I remember this because he smelled of strawberry candy for some reason. Sorry, Audrey and I said to him in unison and quickly turned toward the exit. As we stepped outside, Audrey sighed and grabbed my arm. I don't know. I know it's silly and still I keep doing it. Doing what? Ever since Usha arrived, you seem so focused on her, Audrey said. And it annoys me, but it shouldn't. I guess she just symbolizes what troubled me for years. I knew that Audrey felt like I never cared as much about her as I did about the families and patients at my job. This was never true. But I guess my actions throughout the years told her differently. What did the text say? She asked, putting on a brave face. I smiled sadly and said, Doesn't matter. Come on, let's go have that drink and lunch. You can tell me about your next marathon. This cheered Audrey up straight away. Are you sure? 1000%, I nodded. Audrey chuckled. Now she wants to listen to me about running. I stuck out my tongue. Not fair. We both laughed as we crossed the street because we both knew it was fair, to an extent. It's not that I was a workaholic. It's just that I really liked being at work. But I did think about the text during lunch at our small town bar, no matter how hard I tried not to. You know how sometimes you want to prove something to yourself and because of it you act like a total idiot? That was me after I got that text from Sonia, but I'll get to that soon enough. On Monday morning, I arrived at work a little early. I know this because Brittany hadn't even unlocked the door yet. I had to dig out my key and let myself into the reception area. I always used the public entrance of the center, avoiding contact with the people from the night shift. I don't know why I keep my distance from them. I just do. I took care of some paperwork before starting my round. I expected Annie to be in need for another talk, so I headed to sit with Gregory at 9 sharp, and not a minute early. Annie, however, didn't arrive at her regular hour. This was the first thing that was off that day. I waited for a bit, but then moved on to the next patient. It's a good thing Arthur was my next stop. It's time for you to know more about him, since he's a big part of the story. I doubt any of this would have happened without him. Remember the rich woman who has a son in a coma? Arthur is that son. He's been with us for many years now, and his condition is surprisingly stable. This adds to the mystery. We usually know why our patients ended up in a coma, but not with Arthur. Arthur was treated in private hospitals until his mother lost hope. Ultimately, she had him hospitalized with us. This was not a compromise in care, by the way. We have unique expertise here in taking care of long-term coma patients and their families. We've been doing this for decades. It's not that his mom wanted to, downscale his care or anything. But she did refuse to share with us how he ended up in a coma. His medical file, strangely, also did not mention this. Maya, our director, never dared to ask. That means no one knows what happened to Arthur. And it also means that everyone speculates about it whenever they can. It's kind of strange we were never able to find out. Arthur's mom is famous, but not in a Oprah way. She's pretty well known in powerful circles nationwide, though. I have to admit, I too felt intrigued by Arthur's story. Or more precisely, lack thereof. It's hard to sit by someone's bedside and not wonder, I Googled his name a few times, but nothing. How do you even... Okay, no. I don't want to lose my focus or worse, get ahead of the story. The important thing to know here is that I never actually met Arthur's mother, even though she's paying for my job. I had been sitting with Arthur for a while that Monday when Maya, my boss, walked into the room. This was the second strange thing to happen that morning. Morning? I said, trying not to sound alarmed, but I was. A good morning to you. Maya smiled and then turned to Arthur. And to you. I looked at Arthur and smiled sadly. His face looked ashen today, but it was still a very young face. There were no wrinkles to worsen the gray smudges under his eyes. How was France? Maya asked. Startled again, this time by the unexpected question, I frowned. Chuckling, Maya added, Oh, forgot about your vacation already? You've been back for how many days? I counted back to Thursday evening. 4 days, I said. Just 4 days, and you forgot about the city of love already. Maya sighed and shook her head. I wasn't sure what to say, because Maya was right. Paris had been our last stop in France. I had loved it while we were there, but had forgotten about it as soon as I was on the plane. I want to talk to you for a moment, Maya said, breaking the awkward silence, much to my relief. Sure, I said. Do you want me to drop by your office later? I didn't like to talk about things that related to the patients while in their rooms. You never know what they pick up on, right? I mean, I've read some crazy stories. Not that anything strange like that has ever happened at our center. Until, well, we'll get to that soon enough. I think Maya felt the storm coming long before I did. No, I just wanted to let you know something odd happened this weekend with Usha, Maya continued. I froze in my seat. After my conversation with Audrey, I had tried my best all weekend not to think about Usha. Remember what I said earlier about wanting to prove something to myself? I went a little overboard in pretending I did not care about Usha. I hadn't even replied to Sonia's text, which was kind of an asshole move on my part, looking back now. It's not that I didn't want to go into work straight after getting that text. I really wanted to visit Usha and talk to my colleagues. It's just that I told myself I really shouldn't want to do that. And from there, I started to pretend that I actually didn't want to. I was that person who's clearly miserable, but keeps telling everyone they're absolutely great. I had made sure not to talk about Usha or my job for the rest of the weekend. And on Sunday, I had even agreed to go for a long hike with Audrey, pretending not to care about having no cell reception. Even more ridiculous, that Monday morning, I had made myself stick to my routine instead of going straight to Usha's room. But now, Maya was here to put an end to my idiocy. Sonia noticed more strength in her movements. Maya continued, ignoring my lack of response, almost as if she was pushing back. That's strange, I said, unsure if Maya already knew that Sonia had texted me this on Saturday afternoon. It is, Maya said. It's something that doesn't happen that often. And nobody ever wakes up here, I said, a little too certain. I immediately recognized I was only reassuring myself, and that it was a selfish thing to feel and say. But then again, Maya didn't know what I was feeling in that moment. She didn't know that I needed Usha to stay in her coma. I don't think even I realized how much I needed Usha to not wake up. How can you admit something like that to yourself? Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Maya said, pursing her lips. You're absolutely right. I agreed, nodding, happy Maya could not read my mind. But I've got a weird feeling about this, Maya sighed. And my intuition is usually spot on. Maybe there's something else. I thought out loud, and the sense of alarm came back in full force. I had suddenly remembered the video Audrey had shared with me on Friday. I guess I should have told Maya about it. It might have helped us prepare. But I still hadn't watched it in full myself, and I didn't really want to either. I didn't like the people who put up videos on that site, apart from a few therapists that provided valuable information. But yeah, I should have told Maya about the video then and there. I didn't, of course, and we all paid the price because of it. On this channel, we explore where to go to battle first. Freedom Crusaders! I am back home, and I immediately wanted to upload a new video because I have lots and lots to say. But I had to wait until my roommate had left. She's so noisy and nosy. Anyway, I got so many messages about the Quiet Peace Center in Windfall that I started researching even while still at the hospital. What I found? Man, I have to say, there are no limits to what our government will do. It's disgusting. It's really, I can't even use the words that come to mind, or I'll get banned on here. If I didn't have you, fellow Crusaders, I think I'd lose all hope in humanity. But I do have you, and you've been amazing. I want to welcome all new Freedom Crusader members, all 20 of you. Yes, we are growing stronger by the day, my friends. A special thanks to the person who sent me a huge file with top secret documents they acquired about the center. I don't know how you got these things, but it is good that you did. I mean, my eyes wide open, you know? I woke up to reality, and I immediately checked myself out of the hospital. The doctors didn't want me to go, of course, but I felt fine, and I have important work to do. Everyone has to know about this. Someone has got to stop this, and we will. Together. Look, I want to do this right and make sure we get to the bottom of these human experiments in Windfall. But I think there's even more going on than we think or know about right now. I am going to do way more research in the coming days. I'm also trying to arrange for a car to hit the road and go to Windfall myself. I need to investigate this on the ground. That's why I need your help today, Freedom Crusaders. If you have not signed up as a member yet, please do so today. If you sign up for a yearly membership, That money will go directly to a car, some video gear, and gas to take me to Windfall as soon as possible. Simone and Silence presents Eyes Wide Open, How One Coma Patient Woke Up an Entire Nation by Cassidy Benton. Read by the author, Cassidy Benton. Audio production by Sound Globes, Inc. Introduction. Not a single person at the Quiet Peace Center remembers anything special about the days before Usha started waking up. The nurses and doctors went about their days as they always did. It was very quiet at the center. Almost everyone who ever visited the center mentioned this. Not creepy quiet, one family member of a patient said. A quiet peace, just like the name of the center. It wasn't the first time the facility had welcomed a new patient without a name or family. It can take time to identify someone who is brought into a hospital without ID. And yet, there was something different about this patient. From the start, Usha seemed to radiate a different kind of energy. Several people working at the center remember visiting Usha's room just to take a look at her. The therapist especially. Several witnesses to the extraordinary events say. The center's in-house therapist was known to sit with Usha almost every day, often well into the evening. Catherine Halifax, the therapist, refused to talk to me for the book. I would not have mentioned her in this work of nonfiction if not for the crucial role she played in the events that unfolded. But I will focus on Usha first. She's the one who woke up, after all. She is the one who took everyone by surprise. She is the one who made us all feel uncomfortable, at least for a little while. In this book, I will share the story of how Usha woke up on an uneventful Monday evening in a sleepy town hidden in the shadow of one of our nation's largest mountains. From that mountain's shadow, Usha stepped onto the global stage. Or maybe she was dragged onto that stage, because I think the world needed her more than she needed us. I've interviewed dozens of Quiet Peace Center staff members. I've talked to many family members of the other patients. I spoke to almost everyone in Windfall. This book brings the story of a woman who woke up from a coma and then made us all wake up in some way or the other, whether we wanted to or not. And it all started with a pair of beautiful, intense brown eyes meeting the shy gaze of an absolutely flabbergasted therapist. In a small town, on an evening like any other evening, she woke up. Why am I here? You're at the Quiet Peace Center. You just woke up from a coma. No. Why am I here? You were admitted here after staying at a hospital for a while. You were found unconscious in a car and... No, why am I here? Doctors thought you wouldn't wake up. I woke up. Yes, you're awake. Are you? Am I what? Awake. Based on a true story. We can't do this. Why not? You don't even know who you are. But I know who you are. And I think you know who I am. A forbidden love story like no other. I guess we can skip to the big moment now. Let's not waste time sharing what I did during the day. In the end, it's all about what happened that night. The only reason it took me this long to get to this point of the story is because I wanted to make sure you understand. You really had to get it. You had to see how blind I was. I was in denial about so many things. I think I once heard a Dutch person saying something about the faucet always leaking at the plumber's house. Or like we say, the shoemaker's children go barefoot. I guess the same goes for therapists. Anyway, that night, Usha woke up. This shouldn't have come as a total surprise to me, since there had been signs. But like I just said, I chose to be blind until I was forced to see. You can interpret this quite literally, by the way. I was leaning over Usha, staring at her intently when her eyes suddenly opened. And this is where things get a little woo-woo. You know how books describe a jolt going through someone's body? Or a shift of energy in the room? Or an instant connection that feels like an X-ray machine. I'm not that great at these romantic descriptions, but all of that happened. Usha opened her eyes, and an electrical jolt coursed through my body, making me feel exposed and seen in the most frightening way. A sentimental person would say that it was love at first sight, but it was so much more than that. Believe me, I still can't believe I'm saying this. I would have never, ever said anything like this in the past. You can ask Audrey. Where are you? I know it's not any of my business anymore. I just expected you home by now. Sorry. Catherine, why are you not texting back? I'm worried. Can you just send me one text to let me know you're okay? Look, I still love you, okay? This hurts. I'm worried sick. Kate, it's 10 p.m. I'm about to call the police. Please reply. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if Audrey hadn't called the police. Or more accurately, what would have happened if I had not ignored Audrey's texts. The police would have showed up sooner or later, I guess. We would have had to call them since we knew they were still actively looking for any leads on who Usha was. There are other, even more uncomfortable questions I still struggle with today. Like that jolt. Maybe it was not an instant connection and more like a door burst open. Behind the door, there's an infinite room, like an archive, you know? An archive of questions suppressed throughout life. And what if there were possible answers on shelves too? Okay, I'm not really making sense anymore. Sorry about that. I guess you can tell I still find it hard to talk about that evening. I don't think I've truly processed everything that has happened. But I have to. There are so many people who want to talk about this story. It was like that from the moment Usha woke up. But I never wanted them to share my part of the story. I'm just a therapist who liked to sit with coma patients and their families. I never chose to become part of this story. I never wanted the whole world to know about me. But I guess that ship has sailed. There's only two things I can do now. Hide, or come out of hiding and share my version of the story. But I'm not a storyteller. I'm just... Okay, right. So let me get to the point. It's true that the first thing she said very softly was, "Why am I here?" I was indeed alone with her. I had told the night nurse, Hope, to take a break. She had gone outside to get some fresh air. And yes, I truly only wanted Hope to get a break from work. And yes, I also was really leaning over Usha because, well, that doesn't really matter. If you saw the movie, half of that scene was inaccurate. But people seem to forget it's just a movie. This is what really happened. You're at the Quiet Peace Coma Center, I said with a trembling voice. Usha blinked very slowly. For a second, I thought she was about to slip back into a coma. But then she repeated, her voice a little stronger. No, why am I here? There was something so intense about the way she said it that the small hairs on my arm rose. And this was on top of the woo-woo moment that I had already experienced. So, I took a step back. At this point, Hope walked back into the room and covered her mouth in shock. But Usha kept her intense gaze solely fixed on me. I sat down on the chair beside the bed. I stammered, You were admitted here after staying at a hospital for a while. You were found unconscious in a car and no. Why am I here? Usha interrupted me. Honey, doctors thought you wouldn't wake up, Hope said, rushing to Usha's side now, gently grabbing her wrist. I woke up, Usha told me, still ignoring anything Hope said or did. Yes, you're awake, I said uncertainly, never before having felt less equipped to deal with the situation. Are you? Usha asked me, while Hope fished out her phone to call the rest of the team. I shifted in my seat, my mouth as dry as cardboard. Am I what? Awake? Usha replied softly, her brown eyes still squarely fixed on mine. She's awake, Hope said into the phone. You need to come here, Maya. She's awake. This channel is sponsored by Apocalyptic Protect, the phone case that will get you through the end of times. Order your case for the new iPhone today and get our lifetime apocalypse warranty for free. Freedom Crusaders. I know I look like shit, okay? No need to post that in the comments. You know what doesn't look like shit? Let me zoom out here for a moment. All right, check out my new ride. This van was donated to our cause by a fellow crusader. I have to say, you really are an amazing community. Mind blown. So many of you became a member after my last video. My heart, you guys. Feeling the love. Also, I can now make a very important announcement about the next steps in my investigative reporting. There are questions that need to be asked, my fellow crusaders. You've made it very clear you will not put up with any of this. And you've put your wallet where your mouth is like real crusaders do. I will go to Windfall and ask these questions. I will work tirelessly until I expose the full cover-up. I will be your boots on the ground, Freedom Crusaders. Now let me tell you how I plan to do this. But first, a word from our new channel sponsor, Apocalyptic Protect. I know I sure need to protect my gear while on the road fighting for our freedom, and that's why I guess Audrey waited a little longer to call the police because Maya arrived before they did. Usha hadn't said another word after asking me if I was awake. She lay in the bed, barely moving, with her eyes closed again. You'd think she had slipped back into a coma, if not for the smile on her lips. It was really disconcerting to see. And yet, I couldn't look away. I sat there next to her bed, staring at her until Maya arrived. Looking back, my behavior must have seemed very strange to Hope. From the start, it was the two of us. It was always Usha and I together that made things extra weird and extra intense. I guess that's why all these journalists still want to talk to me. I don't want to share my story with them. It's simply not safe. But I am sharing it with you now, and I hope it will be safe with you. I guess I have no choice but to trust that it will be. So, let's talk about the questions I had to face about the weeks before Usha woke up. Or maybe we can skip straight to the answers. Yeah, that makes more sense. I now see that I was a little obsessed with Usha from the moment she arrived at our center. This might no longer surprise you, but it certainly is still hard for me to admit. She arrived on a dreary morning less than 2 weeks before I left for France. I was on my way from one patient to the next when the nurses rolled her bed through the hallway. I remember how I stopped and stared. There was something about her face that looked so familiar. I knew I didn't know her, but I still felt like I recognized her. In the weeks afterward, I told myself this attraction, and I'm doing air quotes again, was in fact just my way of feeling bad for her. Just like Arthur's, her story was sad and mysterious. Usha had been found in a wrecked car, unresponsive and barely alive. She had no ID on her. The car was stolen. Before you think she's a criminal, she wasn't the one driving the car. Usha was found in the passenger seat. The door of the driver's side was left open. Everyone assumed the driver escaped from the wreck long before the police arrived. The police had yet to discover any clues about Usha's identity, which was very unusual. Anyway, it was easy for me to believe I was just fascinated by the mystery of this new patient. In the 2 weeks before my vacation, I visited Usha every day, sometimes several times a day. Okay, by the end, always several times every day. I tried to hide this from the rest of the staff, but I guess I failed miserably at that. Many of them have talked to journalists about how I was always sitting with Usha after work. And then there's Audrey. Sweet, patient Audrey. She saw that something had changed. She saw that I had become obsessed by something, or someone. This story doesn't start with Usha's waking up. It started long before that. But the world woke up to it along with Usha, and I guess this was destiny. Or maybe it was just bad luck. Like I said, Maya arrived first that night. Soon after, the police followed. Since Usha had fallen asleep by then, and Maya wouldn't let them wake her, they wanted to talk to me instead. Case number A4752024. Report on interview with Catherine Halifax. Officers Wyland and Grand. Location Quiet Peace Coma Care Center, Windfall. Arrived at the center after a call from Audrey Lewis, Windfall longtime resident and ex-partner of Catherine Halifax. Halifax had been missing for several hours, according to Lewis, but was found alive and well at work. At the center, after confirming Halifax's well-being, we were informed that a person of interest had woken up unexpectedly earlier that evening. Jane Doe, number 3, case file A39822024, had been admitted to the center as a long-term coma patient 4 weeks earlier. Jane Doe, number 3, was found in critical condition and unresponsive in a car wreck in Windfall on August 4th, 2024. Doe, number 3, was brought to the Odina Hospital in Maplewood, but then transported back to Windfall on September 3rd. At this time, Jane Doe, number 3, had acquired the nickname Usha amongst staff of the hospital in Maplewood. We do not know why, but the name was included in the Odina Hospital files handed over to the center. Usha was not expected to wake up anymore. Our department, at the time of her waking up, did not have any indication about her identity. Please check relevant and latest reports for more information in case file. This interview took place in the office of the Quiet Peace Center. In attendance, Officers Wyland and Grand, Catherine Halifax, and Maya Phillips, director of the center. Windfall is not a very big town. I wouldn't say everyone knows everyone here, but it's close enough. I'm not a very social person, as you've probably noticed, but most people know who I am anyway. Audrey lived here long before me. I moved in with her. We had a small downtown apartment before we bought the house together. I never imagined myself living in a town like this. I grew up in a city about 2 hours away. I even started my practice as a therapist there. But I found the place too overwhelming as I got into my late 20s. Windfall ended up being the perfect refuge for me. Windfall has this liveliness, but also a unique peacefulness. Most people are doing okay here. Somehow, Windfall has escaped the devastation of poverty and drugs. I guess we're lucky to have year-long tourism. The mountain has some hiking routes that are very popular, and hikers from across the country visit pretty much every season. Windfall also has some local factories and businesses that still manage to keep going, keeping much-needed jobs here, for now. Strangely, young people don't seem to run from this town after graduating. After getting their degree, they come back from the city to build a life here. Most of them, anyway. We have a family diner and bar, a small cinema, several local grocery stores, and an amateur theater group that's actually pretty good. Hey, we even have oat milk for our cappuccinos at the diner. I guess you could call Windfall the exception to an incredibly sad rule of small towns falling apart. I'm sure this is only partly to our credit. Maybe it's even random, and we just got incredibly lucky. Again, for now. Anyway, I'm sharing all of this to explain that a conversation with 2 police officers usually wouldn't feel threatening to me. Most officers here have been part of the community for generations. That night, though, a recent recruit from the city arrived at the center, along with one of the few officers I didn't know that well. I would have been reluctant to talk to the police even if I did know the officers better, to be honest. I guess it's no surprise things quickly got a little tense. Officer Wyland, can you please describe what happened after the night nurse left the room? Catherine Halifax. Again? I already told you this. Officer Wyland. You say she asked you if you were awake. Halifax. Yes, that's all she asked, right after asking why she was here. Officer Grand. Did she say anything about who she was? Halifax. Like I told you before, no, she said nothing else. She just fell back asleep. Officer Grand. Do you know this woman? Does she know you? Halifax. I had never seen her before she arrived here. Officer Wyland. Why did she seem to know you then? Halifax. I honestly don't know. I don't think that she appeared to know me. Officer Wyland. Did she tell you anything about why she was in that car wreck? Halifax. No, of course not. You already know this. How many times do I have to repeat myself? Hope, the night nurse, was there. If you don't believe me, go talk to her. Officer Wyland. We will. Halifax. Can I go now? I need to get home. My, roommate is worried. Officer Grand. Your roommate? Halifax. My ex-partner. Officer Wyland. Yes. Let's take a step back and talk about your ex-partner. Why didn't you let her know you were still at work? Halifax. I don't see how this is relevant. That's between her and me. Officer Wyland. We're just trying to understand what happened here tonight.
Halifax.
Nothing happened. At least nothing to do with me.
Officer Wyland.
Then why did your ex-partner call the police?
Halifax.
I don't know.
Officer Wyland.
You didn't respond to her texts.
Halifax.
I was working.
Officer Grant.
You were with Usha.
Halifax.
Look, can I go? This is ridiculous. I know my rights. Maya, I am out of here. Interview ended after Halifax got to her feet. We made a note to follow up with her and her ex-partner in the coming days.
I'm so sorry, Audrey. Something weird happened here. I should have texted sooner. I had to talk to the police just now. I'm okay. I'm sorry.
Have you lost your mind, Catherine? What the hell is wrong with you?
I'm leaving work now, okay? I'll be home soon. We can talk about it. I can explain everything.
It's Usha, isn't it?
Leaving now. See you in 20. I really am so sorry.
Audrey was in her room by the time I got home on Monday night. I didn't dare knocking on her door, so I walked into my own room and plopped onto the bed. I tried to breathe in and out slowly, like I often tell upset family members to do. After about 10 minutes, not feeling any calmer, I heard Audrey moving around the house. My phone vibrated not long after. I almost ignored it because I wanted to shut everything and everyone out. I wanted to crawl under the sheets and pretend that this day hadn't happened. But I checked my phone, and it's a good thing that I did. Audrey had sent me a text asking me to come to the kitchen. I felt like I was being called into the principal's office. It had never felt that way the first few years of our relationship. Quite the opposite. Audrey had felt like a warm breeze on a spring day then. I loved coming home to her. But then slowly... Please excuse the nostalgic sentiment. I wouldn't share this if I didn't think you should know how different my life used to be. I need you to know what I used to have and what I lost over time. I think I lost most of it long before Usha woke up. I just didn't realize it. But that night, I lost all of it. It slipped through my hands while I thought I was holding on to everything the best I could. URL of webpage, whatdoesitmean.com. Title, meaning of the name Usha. First paragraph. Derived from the Sanskrit word for dawn, the name Usha symbolizes the first light that breaks through the darkness. In Hindu mythology, Usha is often revered as the divine deity of dawn, responsible for awakening all living beings and driving away the darkness of night. Why? Audrey asked as soon as I stepped into the kitchen. I knew it was no use in trying to come up with excuses. I don't know why, I sighed, bowing my head. I figured as much, Audrey said with a disappointed sigh. She walked to the fridge and grabbed the handle. Audrey loved to snack when she was upset. But she was also a very disciplined woman with a marathon coming up. She always had been much more disciplined than I ever was. Sometimes it annoys me how disciplined she can be. Audrey turned toward me slowly, but didn't meet my eyes. Sometimes I feel like I don't know you anymore, she said. Tears brimmed in my eyes. I know, I'm sorry. I feel like, Audrey continued, letting go of the fridge. I feel like you don't even know what's going on with you. I worry about you." I looked up in surprise. I had not expected this level of understanding from Audrey, at least not after making her worry so much. A tear ran down my cheek. It annoyed me, and I wiped it away. "Have you watched that video I sent you?" Audrey asked, resting her hands on the back of one of her old chairs. Another surprise. My chest tightened with impatience and frustration. I wanted to talk about what had happened tonight. I wanted to share that Usha woke up. Why didn't she ask about Usha? I know, I was very self-centered in that moment. It's just that I felt so shaken. Really, I was shaken to my core by that weird question. What did Usha even mean? Of course I was awake. I wanted to ask Audrey what she thought about Usha's words, but as much as I needed her to be there for me, I knew I was the one who had messed up tonight. I needed to be there for her. I haven't, I admitted and refrained from saying anything else. It's this crazy vlogger channel, Audrey continued, pulling the chair back and sitting down. It's called Freedom Crusaders. She's coming to Windfall. She's convinced the center is involved in some sort of cover-up. What? I snorted, more out of surprise than amusement. I have a bad feeling about her, Kate, Audrey said, rubbing her temples. She could be here already. She said she was leaving for Windfall. Lots of people are funding this craziness. That's why you called the cops? I blurted out, a little too incredulously. Audrey looked up defensively, meeting my gaze for the first time. No, she said. Maybe, she added after a second. I just thought, I'm sorry I made you worry. I sighed and joined her at the table. That is all my fault. And I should have watched that video. Audrey scratched her cheek. I did ask you. I know, I said. I should have realized how important it is to you. No, Audrey replied, annoyed again. I just want you to be safe. And I think you might not be. Come on, I started to say, but then realized I was about to minimize her concerns. I mean, I get it, Audrey replied, raising her hand. I sound paranoid, but I'm telling you, this vlogger, she's going to cause trouble. Did you tell the police about her? I asked, really hoping she hadn't. Audrey took a deep breath. No, I knew they wouldn't take me seriously. It was hard enough already to get them to go find you. Why didn't you, I started to say, come to the center myself? Audrey asked, leaning back in her chair. Yeah, I said, crossing my arms. That is something I don't know, Audrey said, closing her eyes. I tilted my head and waited. Okay, I do know, Audrey said. I was very worried about you going off the grid, but I was also very angry. Pursing my lips, I nodded. I think it's best if I leave tomorrow, Audrey said. I don't want to be this person. And your behavior, it's triggering me to be this person. I made a fool of myself by calling the police. What? I asked in alarm. Audrey, please. I won't do any of that again. No, I really am leaving in the morning, Audrey said, sounding startlingly certain. I'm going to stay with a friend in Maplewood until the marathon. That's what I wanted to tell you tonight. I can't do this anymore, Kate. Yes, I really think that night was the night everything truly started to fall apart. But was it me who started this collapse? Or was it Usha? You tell me. This channel is sponsored by Apocalyptic Protect, the phone case that will get you through the end of times. Apocalyptic Protect now offers a different kind of protection. Discover our augmented reality glasses that will weaponize information everywhere you go. Spot convicted criminals, sex offenders, rhinos, and libs without even checking your phone. See the link in the description below. Freedom Crusaders! Just a quick update to tell you that I have arrived in Windfall. I went straight to the so-called Quiet Peace Coma Center. I thought long and hard about this approach. Should I go undercover and try to gather as much information as I can first? Or should I go for a direct confrontation? In the end, I decided it was best to be upfront. I am here to expose you all, mother... Bleep. Don't want to get banned, right? I am here to expose your monstrous acts. Okay, this is going to be a very short video. I will post more later for channel members, so if you're not a member yet, now is the time to sign up. I promise you it will be worth your money. For now, this is it, you guys. The so-called Quiet Peace Coma Center. They really always hide in plain sight, right? Quiet peace. Unbelievable. I'll just let you look around along with me for a bit using these new augmented reality glasses by Apocalyptic Protect. As you can see, the video quality is great. Okay, fellow Crusaders, I will see you in the chat very soon to answer all of your questions and share my first findings in the field. I barely slept that night. I was scared Audrey would leave very early in the morning and I wouldn't be able to stop her. And, of course, I was thinking about Usha. Was she sleeping soundly? Would she slip back into a coma? And why on earth had she been so focused on me? What had she meant when she asked me if I was awake? Every time I asked myself this question, a peculiar sensation filled my belly. It was like a fire. No, more like a warm and tingling sensation. I pushed it away as much as I could, telling myself to get it together. I do remember having a brief, strange moment of insight somewhere in the middle of the night when I was so exhausted that I had drifted into a restless sleep. I realized that the feeling in my belly was the same feeling I used to have when someone noticed me as a child. A teacher or a counselor taking the time to get to know me, you know? Suddenly, for a few moments, I could see myself as a stream of consciousness. I was still that kid. I was still that teenager. But I was also different. Very, very different. You must think I was losing it. If you don't think that now, you probably will soon. Anyway, I'll try to focus a bit more. Let me tell you about the texts I ignored in the morning. Not Audrey's texts this time. No, Hope's and Maya's. I know. Catherine, I'm going home now. It's the end of my shift. The police asked me about what happened. They seemed very focused on you. It was weird. Are you okay? Oh, sorry, Hope again. Forgot to add. Usha slept all night. If you visit her today, will you let me know how she is doing? I can't stop thinking about her. Catherine, I got your text about not coming into work today. Look, I get it. I don't know why those officers were after you. Have you talked to Audrey? What is going on between you two? Why did you call her your ex-partner? Hey, Katie, it's your favorite person here. Brittany, haha. Just wanted to say I missed you this morning. Are you okay? Maya told me the police came looking for you last night. What a miracle with Usha, right? I hope she'll talk to me. I feel like she's special. Catherine, I took over your round this morning and talked to the families.
It was really nice. Usha woke up again. She asked for you twice. Not by name, of course. She asked for the one who is asleep, and we figured that was supposed to be you. Don't feel pressured to come back until you are ready, okay? And you don't have to tell me what's going on at home unless you want to. You're a very understanding boss. Wink emoji. Maya. That's right. For the first time in many years, I called in sick that morning, or texted in. There was no way I was going to let Audrey just walk out of my life without another conversation. It's a little weird that it took Audrey moving out for me to prioritize our relationship, I guess. But did I really? Or was I happy to have an excuse not to have to face Usha again? I'm not sure. As soon as I heard that Audrey was up, I went to try to talk to her again. On my way, I locked the front door and hid the keys in a shoe. If a client would describe doing this, I would have jotted down abusive behavior. Audrey was in the kitchen, sipping a cup of coffee. My heart was already heavy, but when I saw her, it turned cold. In the second that I observed Audrey sitting at the table, leafing through a magazine, she looked amused. She looked relieved. Only after noticing me did her face turn somber. I remember that I had a choice. I really did. There was a moment in which I knew I had to let her go. I knew that it would be better for her, that she would be happy and relieved. Instead, I leaned into my anger and tried to stop her anyway. I'm ashamed to admit this, but at this point in the story, there's no reason to hold back. You already know what I used to be like. I really don't want you to leave, I said, sounding more angry than I should have. You can't do this. Audrey closed the magazine. I already told you I have to. I need this for myself. So it's all about you? I said, and I admit I struggled to recount this part. I don't get to have a say in this at all? Catherine, I think you had your say in it, but with actions, Audrey said, still calm then. Oh God, is this about me always choosing work again? I replied, raising my voice, despite my own aversion to anyone raising their voice. No, it is not, Audrey replied, louder too now. But you can't have your cake and eat it. What is that supposed to mean? I bit back. You want everything to stay the way it was, Audrey said, getting up from the chair angrily. You want me to be here for you. You want me to take care of everything. You still want me here for you despite our breakup months ago. You just call me a friend now, but you are not a very great friend to me, Kate. I did not know what to say to that. I think deep down, I knew Audrey was right. But my ego quickly crushed that insight back into non-existence. You told me I might not be safe, and now you're leaving me alone? I tried next. A new low for me. Audrey's eyes widened. That's not fair, she said, very quiet all of a sudden. What if this vlogger finds our address? I persisted. Shaking her head, Audrey said, Stop, Catherine. Just stop. I guess it really wasn't that worrisome then, I said, not stopping at all. If you're thinking that I'm an asshole, I get it. You might even think you're not that interested in my story anymore. I get that too. But I promise you that I get better over time. I think. Did you watch the video then? Audrey asked, crossing her arms. I needed my sleep, I replied defensively. Audrey checked her watch. Why are you not at work? I don't feel well, I said after a long silence.
Audrey's beautiful, dark eyes widened again. You called in sick? In all the years we had lived together, I called in sick only once or twice. Even if I was sick and shouldn't come near our patients, I would lock myself up in my office at work. That's how I spent the lockdowns, too. Audrey didn't give me time to say anything else. Look, I am leaving no matter what you say or do. Please, give me my keys back and let me go. I still can't believe she heard me hiding the keys and thought it was funny. Freedom Crusaders channel, there are 236 comments on your latest video. Right-Wing Fighter 82. Oh my god, I love that you went to Windfall. I'm sure it will be these insane people's downfall. Haha. I can't support you because I just got fired, so I hope you will post more free updates soon. Signs is a hoax, too. No one else is investigating this yet. You're going to become huge. Followed your channel since the start. Can't you let me into the member section for free? Come on, I'm sure you're making good money with those ads. Hot Dog Champion 2023. Human life is sacred. Experimenting on these innocent human beings is a grave, grave sin. I know they plan to do this to us all in the end. I hope you soon find more evidence that you can share. I think that rich kid in a so-called coma over there is at the heart of this. His evil mother needs to be stopped. I just upgraded to the top tier and am about to send you an email. What? I don't remember what I was planning to tell Maya about suddenly showing up at work after all. I definitely was not planning to tell her about Audrey leaving that morning. I did not want to sit at home alone, and I also did not want to be referred to as the one who was sleeping, or something like it, by Usha. I knew everyone at work would start talking about it very soon. So after crying my eyes out for a few hours, very much out of self-pity, I got into my car and drove to work. I never had to explain myself to Maya because I never actually made it inside the building. I parked my car and was about to get out with a heavy sigh and more self-pity when I noticed a van in the far corner of the lot, near the trees. There was a young woman leaning against the van, looking around with weird, odd glasses on her head. She looked like an alien in an old Star Trek movie. What the fuck? It's not that I actually recognized her, but Audrey's warning was fresh in my mind, and I immediately figured out who she was. My first instinct was to call Audrey, of course. You'll be happy to hear that I didn't. Instead, I finally watched that video Audrey had wanted me to watch.
Freedom Crusaders! Welcome to my weekly vlog where I share updates.
And another one after that.
I got lots and lots of messages over my reporting on the so-called coma center in Windfall.
And one after that.
I'm also trying to arrange for a car to hit the road and go to Windfall myself. I need to investigate.
I even watched the video this crazy vlogger had just uploaded right there from the parking lot with her crazy goggles.
You look around along with me for a bit using these new augmented reality glasses by Apocalyptic Protect.
I don't know if she noticed me that day in the parking lot, but I think that she did. I have no other way of explaining what happened next.
Apocalyptic Protect, the phone case that will get you from the end of time.
I know what you were up to. You'll pay for this. We'll get you. There's no longer a place for you to hide at work. We know what you've been doing to these people. It's just a matter of time before we know where you live. I bet your employer will refuse to pay for your much-needed safe house now that we discovered what you were up to as a therapist. After watching the vlogger's videos and seeing her in the parking lot looking like Inspector Gadget, I fled back home. I still stand by that decision today. What I did once I got home, that's irrelevant. Let's just say I was in a state. But I did not call or text Audrey. Looking back, that would have been a mistake. Audrey sure thinks so. The next morning, I woke up to a flood of new text messages. And when I say flood, I mean a tsunami. I had charged my phone before going to bed, put it on silent mode, and tried to ignore it until morning. I caved only once and looked up a few things through a search engine around 1 a.m. And that only made me feel more restless. But there were no messages yet at that point. When I picked up my phone again around 5 a.m., it felt hot. Turns out it was overheating because of all these texts arriving nonstop. They came so fast, it was impossible to scroll down or open any of them. I immediately knew something was very, very wrong. I had read about this sort of thing happening to people. Sometimes your phone gets hacked, but that happens less than people think. Other times, and this happens more often than you would think, someone just posts your info online and you're Freedom Crusaders, this is a special members-only update. I'm going to try to do this every night if I have new information to share. Welcome to all 35 new members who signed up in the last 24 hours. Every person joining us makes our movement stronger. Plus, I get more resources to invest in this investigation. And I'm happy to report I struck gold tonight, fellow Crusaders. Around 8 p.m., the late day shift packed up and went home. Most of them refused to talk to me as they left the building, but one person, who wants to stay anonymous, knows my channel. Can you believe it? They said they hadn't watched my latest videos, but knew my reporting on the homegrown beef story. Here's what I found out. I asked my anonymous source about the patients currently admitted to the center. They confirmed there are 8 patients, one of whom is the son of a rich, powerful lady whom I've talked about in the past. My source says they do not know of any experiments. When I pointed out that they might just not be aware of what is really going on, they agreed that this is definitely possible. If my source can stay anonymous, they are willing to talk to me again in the future. I even got their number. That's right, we already have someone on the inside, and they are willing to help with the investigation. Moreover, this new source told me something that is much, much more important and urgent. Guess what, Freedom Crusaders? Someone woke up. That's right, one of the people they're experimenting on woke up. That is not supposed to happen at all. And there's one more thing. I found out that the center employs a therapist. Weird, right? Unless... I have many theories, but it might be too early to share. I can't wait to hear what you think. I'm pretty sure this therapist will be good at hypnosis-induced memory loss. I'll drop the therapist's name in the comments. You can help me research her. If you find out anything about her, send it to me in a private message or email, okay? Let's bring these people to justice, Freedom Crusaders. Chapter 4. I've thought long and hard about how to write this chapter in the book. I've consulted many people, including several editors and fellow nonfiction writers specialized in online ethics. The fact of the matter is that Catherine Halifax did not consent to her search history and emails going public. They were posted online against her will. Halifax tried to have this data removed through legal action. The courts did agree with her, but by then, the information was so widespread that it was mostly a symbolic win. I hesitated to include this information in the book. It felt wrong in many ways. But I found that the story was less gripping and made less sense without including Halifax's search history and emails. After accepting that this information was already in the public domain anyway, I decided to use it. I hope you will agree with me that this was not done out of carelessness on my part. Personally, I find myself tearing up whenever I read Halifax's search history of that night. Her questions are so vulnerable, so helpless. What does it mean when someone asks you if you are awake when you're visibly awake? Seems like a very silly sentence to enter into a search field in the middle of the night. But to Catherine Halifax, the 234,456 suggested results must have only added to her confusion. I doubt Catherine Halifax slept a wink that night. I didn't waste any time. I dressed as fast as I could, skipped the shower, and drove to the center in the very early morning. My phone had switched itself off by then. It was useless anyway. I figured that if I could make it to my office safely, I'd be able to talk to Maya there. I also planned to send Audrey an email to warn her. I also figured that she might be worried if she saw the vlogger's latest video. You know, when so much changes in so little time, the brain often struggles to adjust. I was surprisingly calm while driving to the center. I don't think I fully grasped what was going on. Instead, I was thinking about Usha while driving. Perhaps my obsession with Usha was a blessing in disguise. I've heard about people's lives being ruined by these online attacks. In a way, Usha protected me from that. In another way, none of this might have happened without Usha. For the first time ever, I drove up to the back entrance of the center. We're not supposed to park our cars there as it might obstruct emergency vehicles, but I figured this was an emergency too. Relieved that my batch worked on this back door as well, I quickly slipped into the center. The morning shift hadn't arrived yet, so the place was still pretty much deserted. As I sneaked to my office, I could hear the night nurses chatting in the break room down the hall. I didn't want anyone to see me. I only wanted to talk to Maya. I quickly discovered that apart from my phone number, my email address was also being flooded with messages. My work computer's speakers crackled as notifications started to come in. For a few minutes, I tried to search my messages to see if Maya or Audrey had sent me anything, but the software kept crashing because more and more emails arrived. I assumed my phone wouldn't fare any better, so I didn't even try to switch it back on. I had to go old school, and so I picked up the phone on my desk. Luckily, it still worked. I had a file with everyone's phone numbers on my desktop, and I was able to access that. I called Maya's cell phone number 3 times. She didn't pick up. I don't remember how exactly I came to the decision I made next. I had no good reasons to step outside my office. Maybe I told myself I had to check that Arthur was safe. I stuck my head inside Arthur's room and made sure that he was there, and that he was still in a coma. He was, of course. But never say never after what happened to Usha, right? Then, I quickly hurried to Usha's room and closed the door behind me. This was always my intention, of course. I just hadn't admitted it to myself until my eyes met Usha's. "You're back," Usha said, beaming. "I am," I said, and walked up to her bed. I noticed she looked very rested. She had a glow about her that made it seem she had been in a beauty sleep rather than in a coma. It would have been logical for me to ask how she was feeling, or perhaps if she felt comfortable in that moment to talk about what she was able to remember. I'm sure you can guess that is not what I asked her first. "Why did you ask me if I'm awake?" I asked. "Can we add a sort of award show theme here?" "Sure, you're the boss." Earning the prize for the most self-absorbed therapist on the planet, Catherine Halifax. "Why did you ask me if I'm awake?" Usha seemingly didn't mind the question at all and smiled. "Because I feel you are sleeping. But I am standing right in front of you with my eyes open," I protested. "I don't like it when you describe me in this way to me or other people. Why did you ask for me in that way?" I think this is when Usha grabbed my hand for the first time. Right then and there, as if this was the most normal thing in the world to do. Let's keep things clean for now and skip the bodily reactions I experienced. "What is your name?" Usha asked in the gentle and understanding tone I myself so often used with grieving families. Frowning, I said, "Catherine." "Catherine," Usha beamed again. "That is wonderful. Now I can ask for Catherine." "Why would you ask for me?" I said, a little breathless. "You don't know me." "Everyone here calls me Usha," Usha continued, seemingly oblivious to my distress. "But is that your real name?" I immediately asked, snapping back into a somewhat more normal state of mind. I remembered the probing questions of the police officers all too well, and I suddenly felt very strongly about getting some answers. Not for them, for me. "It is now," Usha nodded with another one of her blissful smiles. I pulled my hand back. "But can you remember your real name?" Usha took in a deep breath. In the movie, they made the actress look hurt. In reality, Usha just giggled. "Look who's asking for whom now," she teased. Gosh, she was so annoying in those first days. My whole world had turned upside down with Audrey leaving. Thousands of online bullies pestering me, and the police looking into me for no good reason. I should have just stayed away from Usha from that moment on. It was clear that she would only make things worse. But of course, I did not stay away. And of course, things did get a lot worse. Starting with, well, you'll just have to wait until we talk next time to find out. This was Waking Up is Easy Part 1 to 7. As I said, Part 8 is now available on the free feed as well. So you can't keep listening. You can keep this binge going with Part 8 and Part 9 on Patreon. You don't have to pay. You don't have to enter a credit card, start a trial, nothing. Just sign up for a free membership and you will have immediate access to Part 9 as well. And often to the next episode a little bit earlier than on this free feed too. So if you're interested, go check that out at patreon.com/lesbianromantic. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending time with me. And I hope to see you in the next episode.